Welcome to Bunny Hollow Crafts. Let's make the baby album cover and finish this bad boy. Gonna pull out my chipboard. This is a scrap. It looks to be about 4 inches wide, so I'm gonna pull out my scoreboard, which is an easy way to see how wide it really is. Turns out it's a hair over 4. It's gonna work just fine. I'm just gonna let it go. And I'm gonna cut it with a guillotine trimmer down to 7 3/4 inch tall. I want to say something about the sizes here. I'm going to have to fall on my sword. So listen up. Hindsight is 20/20, right? So if you're cutting with me here, cut yours 7 3/4 inches tall, but 8 inches wide. And I say that because my pages, given the hinge, I would make the hinge a little bit smaller and the cover a little bit wider, and I think you'll have a much easier time. The album turned out to be just fine. It's not a problem. You just have a little bit more wiggle room. So I'm going to put this up on the screen here, the suggested sizes. And I think 8 inches wide would just give you that little bit of wiggle room. I'll explain why I had a little issue when we get to making the hinge, but it worked out just fine. So cut yours the 8 inches wide, but the 7 3/4 inch tall, and you'll be just fine. Okay, I'm pulling out 2 pieces of 12 by 12 cardstock. It's 65 pound. That's important. Doesn't crack nearly as easily. If you use heavier weight, it's more likely to crack. Just putting a piece of score tape. You could do this with glue if you wanted. We're just going to join these 2 pieces of paper together to make one longer piece of paper to cover our cover. So I like to peel the tape back and then stick it down at the bottom where I know you'll cover up the tape, and then just stick it down at the top and then just pull the tape. That works for me. If you hold everything square, pretty much just works. Okay, disregard here. And let me tell you the story because I'm a truth teller, and this is what happened. You see that says 8.5. I cut it. I built the whole album. Beautiful cover. I'll save it for something else. I sat a page in there just to see. And I'm like, holy cow, what was I thinking? It was way too big. So instead of getting mad, which would be easy to do, I just decided to set a timer and see how fast I could knock this out. So this is fast forwarded, but this was a speed record for me. It was 33 minutes to do a cover and a hinge. 33 minutes. I thought that's pretty good. So that's where it's taped. Just give that another hit. I'm just measured around and cut down the sides. You don't have to do that. Nobody would notice if you didn't. It's all going to be covered up anyway. I just like to have it a little bit more proportionate. Cardstock to chipboard. So here I'm putting score tape on the spine. You could use glue. The important piece of this is to cover every square inch of the spine. This is the lifeblood of the album. I've done skimpier before, and it's cost me. So now I always cover every square inch. I'm lucky to have these extra widths of score tape because I make a lot of albums, but if you didn't have that little skinny piece there, just fill in with glue. Don't sweat it. So I'm getting ready to stick that down in the middle of the album after I take off the tape. And all is important is the first piece you don't measure at all. You just get it squared top to bottom. You want it even on the top and the bottom, and plunk it somewhere in the middle. And then when we put the other 2 sides on, we will measure about a chipboard's width away from the album, from that spine. It's about 1/8 of an inch on either side of the spine. Okay, here we're putting down the tape at record speed. I'm going to try to link my daughter's guest book because it shows a cover completely done. I went ahead and I lost the footage for putting down the chipboard. I apologize for that. When you're doing it, it really is a chipboard width away from the spine. If you want to lay a scrap Look at me, dyslexic as a cow. It's crazy. If you want to lay a scrap piece of chipboard beside your spine before you lay down your front and back cover, that would work just fine. I'm just trying to get tape around this thing and struggling, but tape down your flaps. You could use glue if you wanted. And yeah, I was just speeding through. It actually did, 33 minutes. I was not going as fast as it looks. Oh, and that little skinny flap, I didn't get my center spine in the very center. I don't know. I was just in a hurry. But you'll see it works out. You do something like that, you just keep going. Just keep going. All right, so glue down in the little corner along that edge. Push it in with your bone folder, credit card, key card, hotel card, whatever, and start in the middle and fold out or push out to the sides. And do that again. Glue along the side and wherever there was the tape wasn't. So glue right in there. I'm sure I'm going to take my bone folder and push it up against that edge. And then just start in the middle and fold out. Okay. Now let's look at this little edge here. Push in the corners. Don't get too persnickety. I always thought it had to be there was some science to it. No, just push in the corners. And this is kind of funny. That's a 1/2 inch piece of tape. And you can see what I'm doing here is just pushing the edge of the tape back over on itself because it was too wide for my flap. Oh, that was bad. But look. Oh, no room for the glue. Yeah. But it's fine. You're going to cover that with the pink paper anyway, so it really is fine. It's not what I'd do on purpose, but it's going to work out. So never quit. All right, push in the corners again. Don't get too crazy. Just push them in. A little glue along the side. And push in and push over. All right, I'm going to take a Cricut tool here and find that score mark and just slowly, it looks like I'm in a hurry, but no. Slowly bend up. And there we go. There's our cover. It's big. Okay, this is going to be this is going to be normal speed because the hinge confused me for a while. I'm sure it confuses some of you. Some of you may know how to do it already. And practice makes perfect, and continued working with it, you'll get it. I've got 3 pieces of paper here. I was just guessing. Only needed 2. I'm cutting them to 7. Well, I'm cutting them wrong. You need to cut them to 7 1/4 in width. You'll have much more wiggle room, and it'll be easier for you to insert your pages if your hinge is just not quite so tightly to the size of your page. You got to get your page over it, right? So 7 1/4 would be great for you guys. So now this is why it's normal speed, because the hinge, I just want to make sure you guys understand. The very first mark that you make is where you're going to line it up with your spine in the book. Where the spine bends, that's where this mark is going to go, right there. I just chose 1.5 inches. That's kind of average. Now, it looks like I'm speeding through. That's your first gusset. That's a 1/2 inch. Do 1 inch, 1 inch, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch. Your 1/2 inch is your gusset. Your hinge is 2 inch. 1 inch there and then another inch. You're going to fold those together to make your hinge. Now a gusset, which is a 1/2 inch, and then I can fit in 1/2 of my 1 there. I think I trimmed that off. That's what I would do. Did I? Yes, I did. So just trim that off. It's just whatever was left. And then we'll start right up on the next piece of paper with 1 inch, and then we'll join those 2 together. That'll be your 1 inch hinge. At some point in this video too, I'm going to write down the page numbers. I think it'll make everything much clearer. But I'm just going to start with an inch because I'll match that up to the other piece of paper. So there's 1 inch, 1/2 inch gusset, 1 inch, find the inch mark, there it is, inch, inch, 1/2 inch, 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 1/2 inch, 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 and where are we? Let's count up. I think this is where the pencil comes in. Yeah. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 1/2 of 4, the other side of 4, 5, 6, look at there, 7 pages. We did it. We did it. Okay. Now I'm going to grab some score tape, I believe, and join these pieces together. Nope, I'm going to fold first. I got glue all over me. I remember this is my second album. This is the second one of the afternoon. So take the 1 inch sections and fold them together. That will make your hill, and then your little valley there is your 1/2 inch gusset. Fold them back and forth. They're going to have to go back and forth. Just get that paper trained. So the inches, you fold those together, which will leave your 3/4 inch gusset. And that is that last inch, which now we're going to attach to that other inch. And that'll be perfect right there. So I'm going to do that with a mixture of score tape and glue when I ever get to it. But I'm going to continue to fold. Apparently, no, I'm not. Yes, I am. Sorry. Voiceover is easier and harder all the same. But I don't ramble aimlessly nearly as bad. All right, so just continue folding. You could have done it either way. Now we're going to connect. I'm going to put score tape on. And it's not wide enough, so I come in with a little extra glue and connect these two things together. I don't know about you guys, but I'm glad to be in the home stretch of this project. I'll do more albums, but I will never publish one until I have the whole thing completed. And that way, you guys don't have to wait on me. There's my promise right there. We're going to do some much shorter, quicker projects in the meantime. I really have some good things lined up. So I'm putting on some glue just to fill that little gap where the tape wasn't quite wide enough. I just am a stickler for make sure things are tight, especially in your hinge and your spine. And just connecting those two as best I can. And the glue gives you some wiggle room, so that's nice. And then just pull the tape. Okay. Now, put the top back in the glue. Don't you like real time? I like fast forward. But the hinge, you even take out time for a drink. The hinge, just take your time with it. It's not hard. It really is simple math. The 1/2 inch gusset and the full inch hinge makes very easy. So I'm going to flip it over because I have to glue those hinges together, right? So you want to put your score tape at the top, right next to the score mark on either side. You can do that side or the other side, doesn't matter. You don't need 2 pieces of tape. You're going to glue that thing together. So on every other one, put your piece of tape, right? Avoiding your gusset. These are only on the hinges, on the 1 inch segments. Okay. This next one befuddled me because it didn't show it in the tape, but that's where the book was joined together. It was already a hinge. By joining them together, we created a hinge. So, keep going. And one more. And then we're in the home stretch. Okay. Now, push down all your tapes really, really good. And then just peel it off. This is the easiest part, actually. Just peel off your tape. Your score marks are already folded. Your hinge is already folded. It wants to just fold up over itself. It's perfect. Just pull it in and lay it down. You can start from either end. It really doesn't matter. But they really do lay one right on top of the other just really nicely. Look at that. I mean, it just folds up and over and just lays down. So this is my favorite part because it's just no sweat. There's no math. There's no, it's like it's meant to be. So it's Friday. I hope you guys are having a good Friday and plans for a fun weekend. I have no idea our plans yet. My husband's on the golf course and I'm just editing. But it feels good to get this done. So there's the last one. And now we can flip it over and look at that. So bend them backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. And they got to get used to, there it is. But yeah, so here's where I start bending them. Well, I didn't either. This is where I put score tape on. I was moving. You want to make sure you put your score tape in the direction of your score marks. Yeah. On the other album I didn't even think about it. Yeah. I got it in there, but it's much easier to do it this way. Yeah, just much easier to do it the right direction. So again, just like with the spine and with everything else, every square inch. Get it covered with tape. I would not use glue. I would use tape. I would use a mixture of tape and glue, but I would not use glue alone. I just think the score tape is really, really strong. And it lasts in there. I just ran out of it. So even in my 33 minutes, I ran over to refresh I had one more roll that I hadn't opened yet. So I ran to get that. And included that in my time. So how about that? There it is. Come on. There it is. All right. So the inch width is a great width. It really makes quick work of when you're doing albums. And there I go all the way to the end because I don't know how wide, I don't know where I'm going to end up. So I think it's easier to make sure you have that outside edge and then you can just fill in with tape with whatever width you need. And yeah, it works out for the inch. Who knew? Fits in there perfectly. Very perfectly. Okay. Smooth down all of that tape. Tape makes a diagonal blue pattern. That's kind of cute. Okay, so get that all down. Bring in that cover. Decide what you want to be your top and your bottom. Well, it really doesn't matter. You want to get it in the center. I don't know why I was doing that. Doesn't matter. But this score mark that you first made, see that first 1.5 inch score mark? You're gonna match that up with where the album bends in that score mark, which I had trouble seeing white on white. There comes the pencil. I drew in that score mark just to help me line it up better. I went back and erased it later. To take off just a corner of the tape and bend it back. And that was a much easier way to match up those score marks. So just get it straight, centered in the book, and push her down when you feel comfortable. Okay. Now the rest, again, another easy process. You're just going to flip that over and pull the tapes. If you have one already in place, they're just going to lay down. I hope you guys have enjoyed this process. I do want to apologize for it taking so long. There's just been, you just can't account for life. Life goes on, and albums do take a lot of time. And yeah, I didn't know my daughter was going to get COVID, so that took me out for a minute. And then, of course, she recovered great. She's a college student. And then my daughter that's getting married in 2 weeks. It's been busy, but it's been good. So I won't do any more albums where I start one and then, yeah, that's a promise. All right, you're going to put a little glue wherever the tape didn't quite get up to the end or whatever. I just want it tight. So, and that's where that tape broke. So I just put a little in there, but this just lays down. Just push it down. It's really not hard. It really is not. Do take your fingers and in between every spine, push that glue down, push that tape down. Make sure it's good and adhered to the spine. And we have just created a cover and a spine in 33 minutes. Time yourselves and see how fast you can do it. It was kind of fun. Alrighty, we're going to get to the decorating of this thing in short order and putting the pages in and all that good stuff. Take that Cricut tool and again, go slow. Excuse my head, but I couldn't see that mark. I'm glad I pencil drew it in on the other side, but just go slow. And look, that is one big album. Wait till you see all the pages in it. That thing's a honk. Okay, with the magic of editing, all I did here was, I'm getting ready to put the tape on my hinges. I'll explain that in just a sec. But all I did was glue pink paper down to the front and the back cover, and that's our accordion pocket that we made that's on the front. That's all I did. Now your tape goes at the very top of every hinge on both sides, at the very, very top. You don't want to get any tape down too low. It'll cause you a problem putting in your pages, and you sure don't want any tape sticking out. So this is 1/2 inch score tape on our inch width flaps or hinges, and it works out really nice. So just keep going and look at us covering up those numbers that we wrote. Just those kind of things, just if it helps you, it helps me to write that stuff down. Seeing is out of sight, out of mind, but that's I like to write it on there. It won't make any difference in the end product. All right, so just keep putting on your tape and smoothing each one down. And there's the last one. All right, front and back of every hinge. There they are. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And there's our accordion pocket. I still have to cover those 2 magnets. I'll come up with something. Okay, I'm snipping corners here, and that's because my hinge is bigger than the one I suggest you guys cut. Mine's 7.5. I'm hoping yours are 7.25. It'll make a big difference. But even then, if you want to still cut your corners, I would advise it. It just makes things easier. Also would dry fit your pages too. If you're worried about it, just dry fit your pages. Okay, what you're seeing here is just I covered it with pink and I put down our accordion file, but that's as far as I've gotten. So find your middle and make sure your pages are straight up and down and in the right order. Turn back a corner of your tape. I would encourage dry fitting before you do this, because if it's giving you any struggle at all, if you're worried about it, just give it a practice run through. The other hinges want to get in the way in the beginning, and bleh. But the first few pages generally go in the easiest because you got a lot of room to work with. Once you start getting that book full, it gets exciting and a little harder, but just keep going. Okay, so there's page 1 in the book, in the center of the book. All right, and the second piece of tape, no brainer, easy. It does not so easy at the end of the book, but you know what? That's because the book is getting full, and it's a thing of beauty. It's awesome. Okay, so keep pulling off a corner of the tape. There's month 2 with no bubble, but hey, in a few days, that'll all be changed. That's just just print that out and put it on. No big deal. So also when you're fitting on your pages, don't take them down to the base. You see how I've got a little bit of space before the base? I got like a quarter of an inch there. Our hinge is a half an inch, so you've got plenty of room to work with. And if you have them too close into the base of the spine, you're not going to be able to bend your pages freely. So just keep going. Try to get your pages in there centered all around. That's why I suggest a dry fit. I wish my cover and my hinge, I wish my cover were a little bigger, my hinge were a little smaller, but hey, it worked out perfectly. You just got to keep going. This one was tough, but I eventually get this one in there too. It's just kind of hard to find the middle. We put in so many layers. So just take your time, keep fiddling with it. And this is why I encourage a dry fit, because then you know. I didn't do any dry fits. I should have. Well, actually, I do in one that I have trouble with at the back of the book. But that's after I found out. See how it's starting to get harder? Yeah, that's because the book is filling up. But just dig from one end to the other. The Cricut tool is awesome at this. Also, your tape has a bigger chance of breaking the deeper you go into the book. So just take your time. Take your time. All right, this album is going to be for sale. If anybody wants that, we can negotiate. And and just if you're interested, whoever emails me and asks for it first, that's who we'll work with. And my email, of course, is bunnyhollowcrafts@yahoo.com. So if you're interested, I don't have a grandbaby yet. I thought about maybe doing this for my daughter that's getting married and put all her baby pictures in, but because I never did do one really for my kids because this wasn't a thing back then. But if I remember right, this is the page that just fights me like crazy. I think this page, I didn't cut the hinge when I corner cut as well, or this page is just a mite smaller than the rest. I don't think so. I think it's the hinge. But in the end, I put that tape back down and I just keep fiddling with it. And I eventually cut the corner because it just wasn't going on. Yeah, there goes the tape down. So I'm trying to dry fit it now, and it's still not working. And it just won't go. So I took it out. Happy that I dry fitted and just clipped that corner a little bit more. And that made all the difference in the world. And it really went in much smoother after that. So as a matter of fact, I think I've clipped corners on every album I've made. I didn't even think about it with this one, but definitely needed it given that the hinge was so tight. But it's on there now. So you just keep going. And I'm sure this tape's going to break because this is the one that was dry fitted and I never did pull it out when I put it back on there. But it broke, so you just keep digging. Just keep digging. It's so fulfilling when you start getting the pages in. The book starts to grow and it gets heavy and big, and you know you're going to fill it up with love, and it's just exciting. I love making these albums. If you've hung with me this long, you must love it too. So don't be afraid of it. It's, yeah, fan myself. I'm hot. I'm working hard. But it's just a fun process, and I just love it. Since I made my first one, it's been so rewarding. I mean, they take a lot of time, and making smaller albums is more fun. Maybe, because you get quicker results, but these are so rewarding. So there goes month 12. It's going to go on. And get it centered up in the page, pull the tape. There's the last page. And another tape that's just so hard because the book is so full, but just pull gently. It broke. Okay, push it down. There's our pages in the book. Beautiful, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, that's one beautiful book. Okay, I'm going to pull out some ribbon because it's so big, it's going to need some help closing up. So I just pulled off more than I needed. And I'm going to cut this in half for one side at the top and one on the bottom. But I'm pulling out the wire. It's a wired ribbon, and you don't want any wire poking anybody. And satin ribbon ties such a beautiful bow anyway. You just don't. I just didn't want to have the ribbon being a problem, or the wire. So I struggled to get that first half out, but it works. And eventually I pull in the tweezers, and they made everything much easier. But I love the pink satin ribbon, and us crafters, wind it up, save it. You can use that wire for something. So the second piece came out a lot easier than the first piece. But it does make a nice finishing touch on the album. Yeah, look, I'm going to grab the tweezers. Smart girl that I am, I'm struggling here. And they just were the answer. Boom. This is done in no time. Look at that. Wow. Should have done that the first time. Okay, so saving that wire too. And then I cut that ribbon longer intentionally because my scissors are terrible. I know I'm going to have to trim the edges. And here too, I'm going to use my other scissors, and they're bad too. So I'm going to have to get some fabric scissors to give those a nice trim. I don't know. But here comes the book. We're going to put some score tape on to hold the ribbon on. I'm just going to pull off a couple inches, not measuring. Just 2 pieces, and just put it on the ribbon. Maybe it's 1.5 inches, 2 inches. It doesn't matter. Probably 2 inches. Could you even use more? Doesn't. Just want it on there securely. It's going to go under the paper that's going to cover, the front. So just stick it kind of in the middle. Flip the book over. And put score tape on your second one. And peel that off. And then I kind of measure it up against the ribbon that's there, sort of for placement, the one that's on the bottom. I try to kind of line them up. And then just stick it down. Okay, I just cut some pink paper, the size needed for the album, leaving, with my pencil mark, leaving a tight margin. Just gluing around the edge, going to glue it right over top of that ribbon, and that's going to hide that for us very nicely. And I'm going to tell you, because I'm an honest person. But if you're looking at that page underneath that cover, did you see what it said? Yeah, I didn't. Did you think I even looked, or did I think? I was bitten many times with this. I got all the way through the process, got the cover made, got this glued on. We're going to pick out the finished paper. The whole thing was done. And I opened up the book to look at it and go, oh, how pretty. Yeah. I decorated the back cover instead of the front cover. It was completely something that had to be taken off. So now I'm still decorating the front. Now this is for the side. This is for the spine. I'm still unaware. So, yeah, I get it all on there. And I think I just took a good long walk after this. Or maybe I didn't. I was in such a hurry to get it on. I think I just swallowed hard and started taking it off. Didn't film any of it because by now, if you followed me, you know how to take things off. And of course, also if you follow me, you know it gets cuter for the problem. So, yeah. But someday I'll do things right the first time. Anyway, I'm cutting a piece of pink for the spine. I actually used a ruler for that. It's kind of hard because the album is so heavy and awkward at this point, and you want to be so careful with it. I kind of did it sideways, but it worked. The first album I ever sold, I sold to a gal here in Hilton Head. She had her baby, and he turned a year old a few months ago, and we were at her restaurant. She owns an Italian restaurant here in town. It's delicious. Plug for Pomodori's if you're ever in town. But I made a baby album for her, and she had just finished it. She loves that album. So that's rewarding to get that feedback. It really is. So tying the pretty bow. So excited. It's going to be so cute. I'll trim those edges later when I have better scissors. But satin ribbon just ties up so pretty. And so there we go. We've picked the heart paper for the front. And this really pretty sticker from Michaels that just says special delivery with the two little birds. I cut that oval die with a die from my stash. And I pulled out those little ribbons. Not little ribbons, little flowers. Thinking maybe I would put that on the cover. And I'm thinking in the center of that oval would be great for the baby's name or the initials, birth date, whatnot. So nothing's glued down. I'm just still thinking. Alrighty, thinking is still going on. I went and got a piece of that tracing paper, which worked out pretty well, and put it on the back of that. I tried white, and it was too bright. I didn't like seeing the hearts through the die cut. And the little extra little tracing paper just made it seem more, I don't know. I can't think of the word I want to say. I want to say ethereal. I don't know if that's the right word or not. Dreamy, like, I don't know. It just kind of, it worked. So, I'm going to center that up. And again, you'll see it with the baby's name in the middle. I'm just going to lay it there. You'll see what it looks like with that on there. It'll probably be my daughter, but we'll see. And not to that step yet. But just gluing that down, seriously trying to get that on there for the get-go. Oh, goodness. I hope you're not falling in love with the heart paper because it's not going to stay. But now we're gluing the flowers down. I'm going to do 2 on one side and 3 on the other. I think they're so cute. I got those at, I think that's Hobby Lobby. I think that's Paper Affair. They're just little paper flowers in pink colors, off-whites and pinks and light pinks, and really cute. I don't usually use that. I don't like a lot of bling, a lot of flowers and lace and stuff, but these were small and delicate. I really liked them. So I thought I was going to do 3 on one. Maybe, I guess the 3 goes on this side. It's the other way when I redo it. Okay. All right, we're going to get that on there. And then I added in a video at the end clip that I shot just to send to my friend, but I got the sound out of it. I'll just voice over in it, but it'll show you how it looks in the end. I'm going to save you the video of where I open it, do the walkthrough, and see that I'm looking at the 12th page. Don't come unglued, people. It'll happen to you at some time. Just got to keep going, and Lord knows I'm the queen of undoing. So I managed to save the sticker. I just covered up the heart paper, took the flowers off. Yeah. And here's what we ended up with. Okay, sorry to disappoint, but I've looked at this all day long making this video, and I love the heart paper. So I'm going to change it again and make it look just like it did. Thank you for your support. Any comments are always appreciated, and God bless.